After a pretty solid streak of wins in our recent adventures, we woke up and chose violence for this one. We started by testing a theory to see if there's a way to tell if an Armada voyage would give you the Burning Blade based on where it generates in the list of voyages. And so far the theory checks out that if the voyage generates at the back of your other voyages, it should guarantee the Burning Blade. So once we had our hands on some Wraith Balls, we looked for our first victim, which just happened to be a Reaper chasing another emissary sloop. The closer we got to the emissary sloop, we realized that they had the same sails as us and we were sail besties. So we were hoping that would mean that we could team up together and take out the Reaper that was chasing them. But of course it is Sea of Thieves, so we approached with caution.
They look like they're coming at us a little bit. Should we shoot or not shoot? I don't know what's going on. Oh yeah, we should shoot. A little bit of a right.
It didn't take much for me to feel like they were probably better than us, but that was okay because we were in it for the PvP experience. I needed to work on my cannon aim, and I needed to work on recognizing when the cannon line had been dominated so that instead of taking a cannonball to the face, I would go grab a bucket instead. And I was working on trying to stay calm enough to see that we only had one hole, so rather than patching it, it would be better to return pressure here. And luckily the Reaper joined in right then when our mast was down and took the fight away. But they did drop off a border, so we had to fight to the death before we were able to fully reset our ship and rejoin the fight.
Okay, we're gonna let the Reaper live for a minute. Is that what's going on?
I still had one more Wraith Ball in my pocket that I really should have used here, but I thought maybe we could have a temporary truce with the Reaper, and I was quickly proven wrong because they took my gesture of kindness as a sign of weakness, letting us know that there were no sides in this war, and it was every ship for itself. I was pretty sure that we were outskilled by both ships, so once we were boarded, I had to practice my biggest weakness, one-on-one PvP. And watching this back, I realized that my crewmate wasn't even helping me, he was just on the cannons the whole time. So just when I was feeling like all hope was lost, my crewmate proved me wrong by sending our boarder to meet me on the ferry.
There's Mr. Nice again. Aww. Here's Mr. Noise, playing music together.
As soon as the door opened, the fight was back on. And now that I'm watching this back, I'm realizing that I could have been doing something more productive rather than repairing this tier 1 hole, but at least repairing that hole was more helpful than getting knocked off the ship. By the time I got back to our ship, the Reaper had sunk, which meant that we were most likely next. I wasn't confident that we'd be able to keep their flag or their treasure, but at least if we sank to this crew, the treasure wouldn't be lost to the bottom of the ocean. So, accepting our fate, we re-engaged in battle. But this time, we had a different third party.
We're in it right now too, yeah. Turn right or left.
Seeing that we finally had an ally, I decided to go for the board, only to be rejected yet again.
Sucked up, no! Let me out! Let me out! Out, you scoundrel! I don't want to be up here. Oh, I'm in the water. Oh, it's just like slamming. I don't know if I'm down or not. Like, I'm getting drowned. I'm on board.
Despite Karen trying to drown me back there, she actually saved me from that sword and helped us with this sink. But if we wanted this treasure, we were going to have to defeat her ourselves. So I made my way back to our ship, dropped our sails, and waited for Karen to choose us as her new target. After defeating the Kraken, we set out to find the loot from that ship, and we managed to at least snag the chest of legends from the pile before another ship came to attack us.
Alright, I'm just gonna keep grabbing. Are you gonna fight them? Oh. Yep.
After everything we just went through to steal this loot fair and square, we weren't about to lose it to this crew, so we made our way over to the nearby outpost to sell the chest of legends before committing to the fight. But as soon as we sold the chest, they were no longer interested in fighting us, so we went back to see if we could get the rest of the loot before it sank, and we found another chest of legends mixed in with all the treasure. So the game was definitely doing us some favors, and we wanted to see just how far our luck would take us, so we decided to complete another Ford of the Damned. And this is really where our luck started to run out, because then another Reaper started heading straight for us.
Like, nobody's even coming to attack us. There is a sloop coming up from Snake Island, though. Oh, and that's the Reaper.
We were already aware of this Reaper on the server and had our eye on them long enough to know that they had nothing for us to gain. So we decided to at least sell our third chest of legends of the day at the New Golden Sands so that we could use the land cannons that were there at the time. But we accidentally went to Sanctuary instead, so we had to settle for the nearest fort for a fort play. But our plan completely backfired when my crewmate was murdered on the island. Once he was out of the way, they used one of the fort cannons against us for a pretty impressive long shot board. And as impressive as it was, I was a little bit too confident in my blunder bombing skills because this guy was able to recatch the ladder and board before I even knew what was happening. And in a panic, I accidentally blundered myself off the ship. So once we were boarded, it was over for us. This was my first time ever having a boarder recatch the ladder after a blunder bomb. This crew was obviously good. Sometimes luck can help you win a fight against more skilled crews, but unfortunately that just isn't always going to be the case. At least now I know to double check to make sure a boarder is off the ladder, which has actually saved me a time or two since this fight. I've decided that I'm not going to lie and say that my next video will be out next week when it might not be, but I will have another video coming out soon where we face a toxic galleon.